Welcome to hashtag 52 Needs, and this week we are exploring beauty. And with me, I am very privileged to have my personal branding photographer, Fiona Lindberg, who has been a professional portrait photographer for over 20 years. Fiona has worked through GFCs, industry leveling tech revolutions, motherhood, and 4 international moves. She has developed successful studios in Sydney, New Zealand, and now Brisbane over the last 10 years. And she has learned what it takes to stand out in your market and attract your ideal client whilst being a working creative. She uses her own knowledge of this journey to help take her clients through a deep dive into their own personal branding world in order to deliver authentic, congruent imagery that elevates people's profile. Welcome, Fiona.
Thank you, Angela.
So let's talk about beauty and its various aspects. So the first question I have for you is, they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. But who decides what the standards for beauty are?
Yeah, so that phrase is one that's long fascinated me. Like, first of all, I think I have a black belt in overthinking, so let me preface that. But I think I understand what that phrase means, right? It means that we all find something different to be desirous or attractive. There's not one size fits all when it comes to beauty or whatever that aesthetic measure is by which we are drawn to things. But I would also challenge that beautiful isn't in anybody's eye, that beauty is a feeling. Beauty is a feeling that you get within inside of you. And I think if you were born profoundly blind, you would still experience this feeling. So it is definitely not within your eye. I think you can have this feeling when you are alone in a forest, and it may not necessarily be because of the view. It might be because of the energy component to that, without sounding too fluffy, you know. I think you can feel beautiful when you are just lying on a beach, you know, feeling the sun upon your skin, you know, just feeling like a human being on the planet, you know, or when you were alone, like at night, looking at your babies asleep in their bed, right? There is a beautiful feeling that wells up within you. And I would describe it as being a light which is always there, which it just burns so bright for a moment that it literally emanates from out of us, and people can see it, people can feel it. I certainly can photograph it, right? But I would challenge that it is in the eye, right? I understand what that means about all being drawn to something different, but I think it's within. I think it's in your heart.
I would agree with you, simply because I read novels and read articles and, you know, all of that, and I talk to people, and I always love it, especially when men say it about their partner, and again, or even women about their male partners. They are the most beautiful person I know.
Right.
You know, and it's not about the looks.
No,
it's about the whole package.
That's who they are. Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes is Dr. Maya Angelou, who said, people won't remember what you said and people won't remember what you did, but people will remember the way you made them feel, right? And what she's talking about is that feeling of being seen, of being heard, of being valid and acknowledged in this life. And that is kind of at the heart of love and beauty, really. It's something in your heart.
Yeah. And still we have these really crazy beauty ideals. I mean, I keep thinking about foot binding in China.
Yeah.
You know, or I mean, what is that? What are these? The lip plates in Africa.
Yeah, or the you know, you get the more rings to extend the length of your neck, or you know, the earlobe stretching, or you know, Western women do it too with corsetry, or fillers, or you know, all of those things, boob, you know, augmentation, you know, everything. Yeah.
All of that, we still do that, and at the same time on social media, we've got a beauty standard that is getting incredibly hard to achieve, because you've got people who are photoshopped to an inch of their lives.
It's okay. So I saw a video the other day, which terrifies me as a mum today. My children are still very little, so social media isn't big in their world yet. I have a 5-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy, but this terrifies me for their future, right? Because comparison is definitely the thief of joy. And this format is about comparative, right? So you look at it and you feel less than, because clearly he has more than me, looks better than me, whatever. You make a judgment. Okay, so we all know about Photoshop and all the filters that we can put on a photograph to fix our skin and brighten our eyes and do all the things. There is now these same things for video. Okay, so video kind of used to be something else where you kind of felt like this may be a little bit more real, right? No. Now, in real time, you can go live, Facebook Live or on Instagram and apply a video filter where it will, thin you, elongate you, tan you, whiten your teeth, thin your nose, like thin your waist, all the
Oh
things.
my God.
And it's
Okay.
very realistic looking. So how do young girls or how do young boys, when they're looking at this, understand this is not reality?
Yeah.
But this is now my standard that I have to hold myself to. It's so toxic.
That, I mean, before I get back into the serious stuff, I just discovered that Zoom has new filters that you can put on.
Oh yeah. Nice, Mark.
I can give myself a lovely mustache.
Yeah. There you go. I saw it just before. Yeah, that was great.
Really big eyebrows.
Oh yeah, look at that. Go you.
I can make my lip color really interesting.
Oh yeah, wow. Yep, right. So this is a small version of this exact same kind of filtering that we're live doing this, and you can make those changes and they look real enough where, if I don't have enough life experience to kind of go, I think that might be a filter or whatever, where I'm just believing what I see, right?
Yeah. I think another problem is that a lot of the influencers are actually not real people. They are artificial intelligences. They're made up.
Yeah.
So you can have the most amazing people and they are not real.
Yeah.
And people think they are. And this is really an impossible beauty standard to meet because these people do not exist in real life. Like Barbie doll is an impossible beauty standard to meet. Like girls who want to look like Barbie will never be able to achieve that. Like boys will never look like Ken dolls.
Yeah, it's kind
of not possible.
It's I think too, if you look at the history, just even like take probably the last 150 years and break it down into decades, right? Like I can definitely say, this last decade has been epitomized by the ultra curvy, shape of like the Kardashians, for example. And before that, if we look back to like the 1990s, it was a very thin kind of, masculine, almost emaciated, the waif kind of look, the heroin chic, like, if you look back to the 1950s and it was a very curvaceous figure again, Marilyn Monroe, thicker thighs and, more heavy on the bosom. And if you go back to the 20s, in the 1920s, it was that kind of athletic shape. So, depending on which decade you're born into as well, there's a different beauty standard just for the last 10 or 20 years. So if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses constantly, you definitely need to,
then you have to take cultural background into consideration. So what some people think is beautiful is not really great. I mean, I always love the story about the European explorers going to Africa or the American continents and being absolutely shocked about people's outfits, the feathers and the tattoos and the dresses and all of that. But they thought powdered wigs and really heavy suits and in the middle of nowhere, that was the beauty standard to utilize or to meet. Again, I would always take it with a grain of salt. I mean, thankfully, we're starting to live in times where we have the choice to fulfill our own beauty standard.
Yeah,
we do not have to fit in the way we used to.
Well, that's it.
At the same time, for some reason, people are losing their self-esteem. I mean, we have never had more plastic surgery. I mean, girls went for their 13th birthday, lip and nose surgeries, and for high school graduation, breast augmentation, and all of that stuff. And I think boys are not far behind that now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, about, having muscles and being bigger. For girls, it's about being smaller or having certain curves in certain places, but not in others, It's this idea of, what was it? Dr. Seuss said it best, like, you are the youest of you. And I don't know the rhyme because it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it's that no one else is you. You are you, and that is your superpower. And it's this idea of like, I say this to my children all the time. I ask them, were you born to fit in or were you born to stand out? Right? Because if you try to fit in, to me, it harks back to Brené Brown's idea of like, when you fit in, it means you don't belong, right? you have to change something of yourself in order to be accepted. Whereas, if you embrace this idea of like, I'm never going to fit in, I'm never going to mold myself to be accepted or liked by you or be one of your tribe, if I have to subscribe to these certain values in order to get there, right? You belong already with the people that are your tribe, your home, your family, your friend group, all of those people. And you find them by standing out, by leaning into who you are, by embracing all the things about you that one of the things that I really am intrigued by is that I think when you peel back the layers on somebody and you learn a little bit more of their story and you learn a bit more of, what their superpower is, actually, it's the thing that their whole life they were convinced was their Achilles heel, their worst flaw, right? And when you flip that, it's actually that thing is your superpower. So, people who are afraid to show up because of their body size, for example, and it's like, don't you think that there are people out there who need to hear your message that look like you, that want to hear it from somebody who looks like you, right? Who looks like them. Yeah, it's an impossible standard if you start upholding yourself to somebody else's metric. So,
well, I know that and we've talked about that because I have a lazy eye, right? And so for me, for the longest time, that really held me back. And I was bullied and ridiculed in school, and children can be really mean.
Children can be so horrible, right? There's no filter. They just say.
So, but what it did teach me was great empathy for people who didn't meet the beauty standard. So I really learned to connect with people who were not the norm, because I went, if I don't fit that and I feel normal, as a not a freak, then surely these people are as well. So I have made connections with people where people go, why would you want to talk to them? I was like, yeah, because they're people.
Yeah, exactly.
And being able to look beyond that. But I also know that
what a gift. What a gift.
Yeah. But I also know that when it really matters, that was one of my biggest I still think about that, is when I was married for about 6 months. My now ex-husband said to me, we were in conversation with somebody and they said blah 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 and Angela's lazy eye, and my ex-husband swung around and looked at me and said, you have a lazy eye?
Yeah, I love that. I remember you telling me that at the studio and I was like, that is perfect.
Yeah.
He never saw it, right?
No, didn't. I don't think he still did. I should ask him. I spoke to him on the weekend.
Yeah.
So again, it's just, what is beauty? It doesn't matter whose beauty ideal you want to fulfill as long as it's your own.
I don't think anybody in this world would describe Mother Teresa as an ugly human being. But I don't think anybody would also describe her as being a potential supermodel either, right? She is beautiful because of her deeds and the energy that she brought to this world and the way that she served people and the pure love that she embodied, right? She did work that was meaningful and uplifting and helped people who truly needed it. She was beautiful. It had nothing to do with the size of her bum, right? Like nothing at all. And we see these flaws in ourselves. I'm often curious about, if you went back in time to before the times when the mirror was like a household staple, right? Can you imagine this? Like you get up in the day and you just get dressed because of the weather, right? Like you have no indication of, this is, wait, let me just, maybe okay, good. If you just went out and you looked at other people and you connected with them for who they were, and then you have a mirror now in your home and suddenly the focus gets pulled into here and me, and is it okay? And am I enough? And oh my gosh, look at my eye, or look at my teeth. Or it changed everybody's, it flipped the way we saw ourselves and related to people. So yeah.
Well, when you look at the original story of the very first narcissist who fell in love with his image,
drowned,
drowned, drowned. Exactly. That tells you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so,
we should seek to see ourselves reflected in the work we do and the value that we bring. You know? I love that story about you saying, for the longest time, you, as a child, I mean, it sounds terrible, Angela, that you were bullied, and kids can be cruel, about your eye. But ultimately, what a gift, if you look at your life's work in terms of being heart-led and helping people, put them on their right path and overcome their own personal blocks and fears, that experience for you at such a formative age, like you said, it built an empathetic human being who was able to see past all the other value judgments, surface level vanity constructs that we have. So ultimately, you know, maybe you chose it.
Who knows? Yeah, definitely. In the sense that I had to learn to appreciate myself for the whole person that I was,
That's it,
not just for the external beauty. And
right?
I was surrounded by very harsh critics.
Right. And
So,
one of the gifts of aging is that you get taught really viscerally that anything that was external, that was hitting all those metrics at a certain point, girl, that is going to change, right?
yeah,
So if that's your only value system, if that's all you got to give the world, like enjoy being young and lovely. If you are
yeah,
young and lovely, go and enjoy. Please be young and lovely. Enjoy it.
yeah.
That's not your only stock in trade, right?
And the thing for me was when somebody said to me, and I think I was in my early 40s at the time, that it was now time for me to consider you to start doing very careful Botox, and so it wouldn't be so visible, and that I would, that so that I could continue this over the next 10, 15 years and really easily. And I looked at that person and I went, that would go down as a coach really well, because there's definitely, I didn't know that at the time, but I said, I can imagine myself sitting in front of my clients and going, I have so much empathy for you.
Yeah.
And I have since learned that there's research that actually shows that people who have had Botox, both men and women, cannot identify how somebody else is feeling anymore because they don't have the micro muscle movements.
Right. They mirror micro
They can't
expressions.
mirror it anymore.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I think it is one of the gifts of aging to
Yeah.
realize that actually the things that are about me that are beautiful, unique and strong and valuable, it's got nothing to do with the quality of my skin or how great my nails and my hair are, or any of that stuff, and the sooner I think you can be liberated from that idea, then the more freedom that you'll have to move within this life and take up space and use your voice and show up in the way that you authentically want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that context, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman.
No, absolutely. Of course not.
It's about who you are and how you feel, that you feel good about yourself. You're comfortable in your own skin. You're true to yourself. And yes, by all means, I mean, I look at my wardrobe and I go, there's that stuff in there that I've had in there for 15 years and I still wear it and it still looks okay because I don't follow fashion trends.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly okay with that. Follow the fashion trends if that's what feels good, but mostly feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I think there is nothing more attractive than confidence on a human being, right? And all confidence is really, it's not a fear of being perceived as less than anybody else in the room, right? It's just that confidence isn't loud or shouty or look at me, here I am. That's not confidence. Confidence is, I don't give a shit if you look at me. I don't care if you approve of me. I am here for me, and I'm okay taking up space and being who I am, right? That kind of confidence when somebody just walks in a room, and again, it's that outward flowing energy, not me, 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 me. Are they looking at me? Who's like, no.
Yeah, or are they looking at me?
Yeah, because that's not confidence. That's something else, right? But
do you think we should abolish selfies? Take the selfie function out of the cameras?
No, I don't. And the reason why, okay, so this is an interesting one. I know that what you're getting at, but I think, okay, so I have a real repetitive conversation with clients. Standing in front of the camera brings out people's absolute terror about all of their preconceived lack in their appearance, or their fears and insecurities about their appearance, right? So I am just in the process of setting up a Facebook group, right? And it's going to be a private group for women only, because I want it to be a safe space for people to share as much or little as they want. And it's going to be called 52 Selfies, right? And the idea is I want people once a week to commit to taking a selfie, posting it within the group, and you have to say a positive comment about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not there to get other people to comment positive. Oh, you're so cute. You're so what? It's not there to feed a validation monster. Yeah. It's there to garner a new neural pathway in your brain that says, this is my face, this is my body, this is my appearance. And you know what? My smile's pretty cute.
Self-appreciation.
Right. It's just show up in photographs. I've photographed too many people who literally were like, I haven't been photographed for 50 years. I've torn up every picture there is of me. If I was to die tomorrow, my children would have nothing of me in this world. I use a hashtag called exist in photos because it's a thing. So I don't know. There has been a practice that I can see where people kind of they need to come home to themselves in a way that can be achieved through seeing themselves like that, right? Different in a mirror to a photograph. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Then we have to start framing selfies differently, because at the moment, when I look at social media, they are filled with images of people who are, that it's not about the content necessarily. It's about what they look like. I mean, I have literally gone through profiles just to see what people are posting, what was interesting. And there are people who have profiles. There's absolutely nothing of substance in it, other than some really beautiful selfies that probably took hours to take in order to look really spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it's just, are we really that shallow? No, I don't think so.
I
But
think
maybe again, if we started treating selfies and filters and and all of that differently, I mean, would that change anything?
I think if people can understand the construct that goes into the making of, like you said, maybe there was 200 taken and I've filtered and edited this and curated this for this perfect motion, right? There's something kind of toxic about that. And what it is it's an external cry for validation or support or acceptance, right? Which is a cry for love. So actually you can look at that with a lot of empathy, right? And say there is an incredibly insecure human being who needs love and support and a warmth and a steady base upon which their foundation needs to be built, right? I don't have a problem with selfies. I love some accounts where it's like mostly selfies, but girl, it's from all angles on my bad days, with the zit on my face, with my full face and makeup done and feeling fabulous, crying because I'm anxiety ridden. And it's a 360-degree human who shows up and goes, today I felt like a filter and I've got unicorn hair and and today I am having a breakdown and this is still me, right? And it's just that human interface where as people, we're drawn to eyes. We will connect through a face, right? So selfie is that. But yeah, I think that, like anything, a knife is not good or bad. In the hands of a skilled surgeon, it will save a life. And in the hands of a serial killer, it will take one in a horrible fashion. So it's not the thing itself, it's how it's used, as with everything.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Fiona. This was lots of food for thought.
Yeah.
And I think it's an invitation for everybody to look at, what do you consider to be beautiful about yourself, and take an inventory of where you judge yourself really harshly and where you actually love yourself for who you are. And
absolutely. Go stand in the mirror and look with love. With love.
And that's a hard exercise to do. And I have given this task to clients. I've done this myself, and I know that it can bring up tears, it can bring up all sorts of things. But eventually what really wins, and this is we come full circle, it's the inner light.
Yeah. It's a daily practice. It's not a once-off. You show up every day. You do your best. You look with love.
Yes. Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you next week.